Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I had a beautiful day today. I want to ask you a question, though, before we get started here. Have you ever caught yourself wondering, can I truly actually have a normal, healthy relationship with food again? After years of disordered eating, restrictive habits with food, the binge restrict cycle, and being super hyper obsessive over clean eating and all of that, like, can you ever just have a normal relationship to food? If you've ever asked yourself that question, then this podcast is going to be for you. I invited on the podcast my current client, Tara, who has been working with me for a total of 4 months, and she had a absolute just insane transformation through this journey. So I invited her on to share with you guys her journey and to inspire you to continue on your journey, because it is indeed 1000% possible. So if you've ever doubted getting your period back, if you have been in recovery for like 7 years and you think, this is taking a little bit too long, then maybe Tara has some advice for you guys today on how to get your period back a little bit quicker and how to fully close this whole chapter of disordered eating, obsessive food thoughts, and exercise addiction and days of bad body image. So without further ado, we are going to drop into this amazing, juicy, fun podcast today with my client, Tara. Hi, love. We had some big news this past couple weeks, right? Past like 2, 3 weeks that we are not going to share yet until we dive into this podcast. But the reason why I invited you on is because you had such an amazing journey through this whole like recovery process, and you literally shifted night and day. And I wanted to give you a moment to really share your journey, share your biggest insights as being someone who kind of just went through it, so that the girls who are listening can feel inspired, activated, and also get that like guidance and direction as to like where to go and how to help them get out of any disordered eating or unhealthy exercise patterns, body image issues, all of that. So welcome, little Miss Tara, to the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I hope, whatever I share definitely will help others because I know hearing stories like this really helped me.
Yeah, 100%. So, Tara and I have been working together for exactly 4 months. You came to me 4 months ago and we're like, I haven't had a period in how many years?
10 years. 10.
10
7,
years.
10 full years. I honestly, the scary thing is I didn't even know how long it was because like I was on birth control and it had like stopped mid-birth control. So how long it had been. So average 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like so many girls actually are on the birth control. And then they come to me and they're like, well, I don't know. Was I having a period? Did I not have a period? Like, how long has it been? So for those girlies who don't really know, because they don't teach us this, when
Yeah.
you're on birth control, the whole point of it is it's to prevent babies from being born. I know we use it for like multiple other reasons now, but that is the main purpose and functionality of it. And so what it does is it prevents and stops ovulation from happening. And so any kind of period or bleed that you are having on the birth control is just a withdrawal bleed, and it's not your body having actually gone through that cycle and being, potentially healthy enough to actually go through that cycle. So a lot of girls will get on it to try and get their period back. That's not a thing. Also, a lot of girls will go on it completely healthy and then they have post-pill amenorrhea where they don't cycle again after that. And usually when I work with those girls, sorry, we'll get into you in a second, but little lesson here. Usually when I talk to those girls, that is like I will ask them about what's been going on, and I will find that there was a shift in diet, a shift in exercise, a shift in weight that actually probably just caused the amenorrhea, but they never noticed it because of the birth control. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So you eventually got off birth control and were like, wait, the period's not here.
Yeah, actually, as you were kind of explaining that, back in like when I started birth control, before I started, my period was already being a little funky. And so I went to my OB and they had recommended me to start birth control. this is
To
before I
regulate your
knew.
cycles, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep. And so it did regulate it for a few months, but then I didn't even have a period on birth control, which was like a huge red flag. Then I was like, screw it. I just won't take it then. And I still never got my period. So this is like over the course of like 10 years. So even with the birth control, like major red flag signs that I
Yeah.
was super, yeah, my fertility was a issue at that time.
Yeah. And you came to me 4 months ago being like, I finally want to get the period back. Can you share with me what had been happening in your life, maybe that previous year, that finally got you to that moment where you were like, no, we're done with this and we need to shift something.
Yeah, so I think 2 years ago I had gotten married, and that was kind of the rock bottom, I would say, of my restrictive eating, the really hard times in my eating disorder. And I always had almost put off recovery till after my wedding, which if you're watching this, definitely would not do that. But so
Why
after.
why do you recommend not doing that? I'm curious. Like why now, being someone who's like you've healed your relationship to food in so many beautiful ways. Your body's so much healthier. Why do you look back at that now and be like, I wish I didn't kind of continue on with those negative patterns while getting married?
Yeah, so during that season, your engagement season is such an exciting time. You have so many celebrations with bachelorettes and bridal showers just leading up to the wedding season. And me kind of being stuck in my head and so restrictive on my eating and my exercise routine really made it challenging to be present in the moment and be able to just kind of soak in that time with my family and my friends. I was more so just preoccupied on looking perfect and staying the same size um and my wedding came and it was a great time, but looking back I can see how unhealthy I did look. And although I was present as I could be in the depths of my eating disorder, had I have gone through my wedding day recovered, um, yeah, I think I would have just had experienced it a little more and been able to just soak in the moment instead of being all in my head all day.
Yeah. Did you become bridezilla?
Just not in me in general to be bridezilla. So I think in my
I'm just
maybe to like
joking.
my partner, like when I lived out, we
Yeah.
lived together before marriage. So I think I was probably bridezilla to him, but like no one else. But that was because I don't know, I took it out on him because we were close and he's with me at home all the time, watching me work out, watching me restrict. So that part he probably saw the bridezilla.
Did that ramp up before the whole marriage? Were you like, oh, now I feel this extra pressure?
Yes, absolutely. I felt like I couldn't recover. Like I couldn't give my body time to change because I was going to get married. So I think that was the biggest reason why I didn't in my disordered brain.
I would love to just like pause on this for a second because I actually think that this is something that a lot of women kind of deal with is this like when to recover. And I feel like there's always something big that is like coming in the next couple months that prevents them from saying yes to recovery because they're like, oh, well, I don't want my body to shift and change before then, or oh, I don't want to be uncomfortable, or X, Y, and Z. It can be school starting. It can be like, I just started dating someone. Now I can't go through this whole process. Or it can be a marriage. It can be, I'm about to move or whatever it is. What would you say to someone who's kind of playing that game of like, there's always something that I'm saying I'll recover after instead of just like taking charge of today?
I love that because for me, I always had an excuse. After my wedding, I was like, oh, I can recover, but like not fully because I'm in like 5 more weddings this year. So But there's always, if you let that block you, there's always gonna be something in your whole life. If you let it, there's always gonna be something. For me, I came to a point kind of sitting back and realizing there's always going to be an excuse that I make up. I was so sick and tired of feeling like I was literally chained, like I felt imprisoned to my restrictive eating and my over exercising and just the mental battle it took. I was so done with it. I was like, I'm ready to be free. So I didn't care what came in the future because healing and recovery was worth it to me over prioritizing this disordered image.
Yeah, or someone's wedding and what you look like in the photos. And also, I think, to call out that disordered thought pattern of thinking like you are going to look bad as you go through recovery instead of like, I was saying this to a client the other day where she was just like, oh, I'm going to look ugly. I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, we just like threw possibility out
Yeah.
the window. Like possibility left the chat. Like there's no, it's almost like that realm of possibilities gone of like, what if you actually felt sexier, you felt more grounded, you felt more confident, you like feel and look like more like, healthy and present and all of that. Like we tend to have that idea of, oh, I'm gonna look bad instead
Mhm.
of understanding like when you are taking charge of your health, when you are standing up for yourself, that's attractive. And like you in a healthy body weight's attractive.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's and that's I think when we talk about why did you regret waiting to recover, till after your wedding? Because now yes, I can remember how I felt before my wedding and was like, I can't change. But now that I look back in pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was very unhealthy. And you could see that. I've looked very sick. And now in the body I am, my husband is he loves me no matter what, but he's very attracted to me. Um, I look so much healthier. I even had comments like during the wedding season, like, is she okay? So like there was evident had I recovered, that wouldn't have been a thing. And so I think there was such a big fear of, oh my gosh, you're exactly right. My body's gonna change so much. And like my body, but my brain, my heart changed as well through this process where I'm at a place where I feel so much healthier and I have such a better relationship with my body that I'm so much more confident than I ever was.
Yeah. So let's go into this. Let's go into dating your husband. When you were dealing with all of this stuff, the restrictive eating, the like preoccupation with the exercise and the body image issues and all of that, how do you feel like that really impacted your guys' connection? Like you said, he loves you, but he's connecting to your heart here, hon. He's like, I love you for who you are. But what, like, if any, rifts or kind of disconnection did that create?
Hmm. Um, I would say it really, the eating disorder and it really attached a personality to me that was never born with me.
That's a way to put it. I like how you put that there. It
Yes.
attached a personality to you that wasn't, yeah, it's not really yours. It shifted your natural personality.
No, I am a people person and I desire quality time, but the few years leading up to our wedding, so our dating season, especially the year prior to our wedding, I became very isolated. And date nights and going to the movies and just intimate connection times that recovered me now can fully enjoy. Back then, they didn't exist, which was very, on my partner's side, very hurtful to him because his first line of love is quality time. So I was not being able to provide that to him.
Yeah.
Um, And then for him, he loves me so much. And for him to watch me talk to myself the way I did, treat my body the way I did, killed him. I think that was the number one thing that he told me that was the hardest to watch.
Yeah, I mean, because he loved you and he saw so much like beauty and just amazingness in you. And then
Hmm.
like for you to not see that, because that's what it was, right? Like I didn't see it for myself during those years. Whereas like everyone could be telling me I'm amazing and you're so lovable and you're worthy and all of that. But like I played this game of I don't see it. And so I think that something externally needs to shift and change. And like I need to exercise more and restrict more. And then that became a whole thing. So
Yeah.
let's, because I want to get to like how you've been feeling like now
Mm.
post like all of this and that whole journey. So can you walk me to the day that you and I hopped on a like a discovery call to see if you wanted to do coaching together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brought
I,
you to that point.
I want to add too, like how that really disconnected our relationship too is like I felt like a flat line. Like I felt like he was full of life and ready to like go play tennis and get some ice cream after. And I was just like I had no emotion. So like that was not fun. That was a not fun relationship. So kudos to him for being supportive through all that. But then so that did though contribute to me coming to talk to you because I noticed, even after the wedding, we've been married for 2 years now. And I told him it'll be fixed after the wedding. I promise it'll be fixed. And
Oh, it like sounds like literally like an alcoholic being like, this is the last drink, this is the last drink. I mean, and it is, it's an addiction to, a certain level. And
yeah,
anyways, just even how you said that, I'm like, oh, how many times have we said that? Like, it'll be better then, be better then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was actually a huge reason to why I wanted to heal my relationship with food and heal my fertility and just get better because it was really damaging. Even though, I we were still connected, it was really damaging our like intimacy. I mean, I didn't even desire sex and I couldn't even have children. So in
Mm.
my head, I'm like, what's even the point? And I didn't want it and I can't have kids.
Well, and you're so disconnected from your pleasure there that you're like, you don't even see that the point is connection, pleasure, like all of that. You're like, if
Yeah.
there's not a purpose to this, like look at that like proving mentality, that perfectionistic mentality. Like there's no purpose to intimacy with you. So I don't even want it instead of being a woman who's like, I understand my body, I desire this intimacy, this connection, this pleasure, my capacity to feel the pleasure is large. It's like that was even just shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. So it came to a point where I was like, okay, I'm so over freaking out before a restaurant, calculating everything I eat, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of it. So then I started pre Chloe a few months before trying to recover myself. I read the No Period Now What book by Nicola
Fascinating
Rinaldi.
book, by the way. I read that too. So for the like science, like the science behind everything, that
Yeah.
was important. That was like critical.
Yes. So I was trying to, I'd say, eat more, rest more by myself at that point. Because and as I'm reading her book, I got really scared.
Mm.
That was another thing. I was fed up and I was terrified of the long-term consequences of not having a period. So I in January the year this year, I went to my OB and he started me on Provera to try and get that period back. Didn't work. Told him that I've tried it before. He still said try
Also,
it.
like if that did work, you still would have been very disordered with food. You would have been having bad body image days. Like it's not just about getting the period back. That can almost seem like performative in a way. It's like
Yeah,
it's not just so that you can be bleeding every month. Like we want you to feel like an empowered, strong, confident woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I took it, that didn't work, and messaged him, and he said, okay. well, I don't have any other recommendations. The next recommendation I have for you is to go to this fertility clinic, like 30 minutes from my house. He's specialized in reproductive system, blah, 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 blah. I have a few friends that have gone through IVF, and after reading Nicola Rinaldi's book, and then like a few months later, I found Chloe's account and was following her, watching her videos. I was like, that's, can we just try? Like, I was begging him, honestly, to tell me, how about you just eat more and rest more?
The
Because I knew
doctor?
he wasn't doing that. I was begging him to tell me
The
that.
specialist. Wait,
Yes.
let's just pause here for a second. You were begging the reproductive specialist to give you something other than just a pill, to just tell you,
Mhm.
hey, your body weight's too low and we got to eat more. And that's not even like we need more help and, guidance throughout that journey because as we've, gone through, it's a lot more of a psychological process. But it's like
Yeah.
at least understand that there's just like a very simple physical reason why someone wouldn't be ovulating.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never had, he didn't, he just said, oh, go to this IVF clinic. In the back of my head, I literally scheduled, we had a call like a few months out. I scheduled my appointment with this IVF doctor because I was like, okay, well, I'm terrified. I don't have a period. I didn't know what the future held, but I thought, okay, maybe he can do some magic. Sounds terrible. And then I scheduled this appointment. It was in June. And then I had this call with you in May.
And what happened on that call?
So I reached out to you because I was like, there's got to be a natural, especially after reading that book. I was like, there's got to be a natural way. My first line of defense is not to take a medication. Like, I realized after reading and after watching you, I got myself to this place of no period myself by over restriction and under eating. Let's see if I can get with help, if I can get my body back to how it was. So I reached out to you and we jumped on a call, and that was kind of a done deal right there for me. You really helped. I mean, this was the first call that I had that you really talked about what we're going to work through and how it's not just, yes, we're going to help get my period back, but I mean, had I gone just to that IVF clinic and let's say, got my period back or I just got pregnant, I would be in a terrible position to be a mom because my disordered relationship with food and exercise would be in the toilet. Um, and that was things I was considering is when I was talking to you, it was so appealing to go this route because we would focus on, your heart to your brain, right? And we'd focus on negating those negative thoughts and really focusing on, we didn't even really talk about food. That's the funny thing. And that's what I thought we would talk
I
about.
always tell people that I'm like in my coaching, especially in a one-on-one setting, I'm like, I will never once, like, I mean, sure, if we have questions here and there, like it's important to address the food, but like what I care about is like what's going on in your heart that made you feel like restricting food was the safe thing to do. That's what I care about because if we can address that and if we can just shine love on you and like give that little girl version of you, because it might have happened when you were very little, right? If we can give her love and support and like connection again, then you're going to feel so empowered and so in love. And it's so impossible to restrict when we finally start feeling that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the biggest game changer, I think, for me is just and the biggest thing after we got on that call was like your transformation begins at that transaction. Um,
Oh, you
and
remembered that. Look at you. Yeah,
yeah,
transformation happens at the transaction. It's like the moment that you decide, I'm ready for this program, I'm ready for this container, I'm ready for this, like things start to shift. Because you
yeah,
put yourself now in a little safe, the feminine loves safety. We love to feel like we're in a container, we're well held. So a lot of times when people try and go on the journey alone, it feels so open-ended that they end up just like, like they end up just like grappling and they can't like really surrender to the process because they don't feel held at all.
Yeah.
But when we hold you and we go, okay, I got you and I'm guiding you and I'm like having you here in this container, we're thinking about this, we're working towards this. Now all of a sudden we can like let our guard down and actually start working on things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the biggest I couldn't, I was trying to get my period back on my own, right? A few months prior, but just having your support, like especially in that beginning month or two, just like I'm having this thought or okay, I'm challenging myself, like this is what's going on in my head. And for you to just have someone, because anyone who's been in our shoes can understand just having someone to speak truth when your brain is having a little freak out of a situation can helped me flip the switch.
Yeah, we
And
sent a lot of voice notes in the beginning, back and forth. Like
yep,
I always tell people like I'm always on my phone voice noting all of my clients. I'm always there because we need that shift to happen right then and there and not in 2 weeks when we talk on the phone.
yes, yes, and that was so helpful to just have those. And I would even like look back at some of the voice notes or the text between us, and I would save some in my notes, just so then in the future when those things would pop up, I had something to combat it with. Versus if I had went through the IVF situation, whew, I would be in big trouble still.
Can you imagine getting pregnant without working on a lot of the body image stuff that we've worked on?
Yeah, no, no. And I think too, like I know of course, and for me too, price was a thing when, we first started. I was like, yes, okay. Even I talked to my mom about it, my husband, and they're like, Chloe's your girl. You definitely need to go with her.
Mhm.
Of course, price is a thing for everyone, but um if you go through IVF treatment, I would have been in still, that's a lot of money. IVF appointments, your medications, and
It's around because you need around, it depends on your age and all of that, and it depends on your like background of why you're in there. But average is 3 to 4 rounds. It's about 20 to 30,000 dollars a round. It's about 100K. They can get up to 185K for IVF. Yeah.
yeah, so I can't imagine getting in, let's say, medical debt, that much medical debt, and then not healing my relationship with food and then coming to you. That would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah. And we always have payment plans, right? Like we
Right.
work to find a plan that works for you. Pretty sure you got in for like $80 a month.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
it was a good steal. So, and
But
it
at the
was
end of the day, do you even think about that now?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
no, like it was so worth it to me, even like to think about, and my husband was like all for it. Like even to think about expenses, it's like this comes first. Like the way you're living is not okay. Like this comes first for you to be able to actually live. So am so glad that I did, transform in that transaction, or else I wouldn't be here today.
Yes. Okay. And we're going to dive into that in a second. Let's talk about, because again, it's been like 4 months. We're going to talk about the two exciting kind of big milestones we hit here for you. But overall, especially maybe those first like couple months that we worked with each other, what was the biggest just like shift and takeaway? If you want to share just maybe like one or two of those like aha moments of like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it this way. I'd love to like dive into that.
Yeah. Um, so I think when in the beginning when we were working together, one of the biggest thing I struggled was body image, the fear of weight gain, that was holding me back from recovery because of that weight gain. And so as we're working together, when you said this just came to my mind. We were talking and we were kind of diving in of this fear of body image. And you were like, picture someone in another size as you. And for some reason, I think we were talking about like water activities or boating or a lake day or something. And it's like, can she do more things than you do? Like, because she's in that body type.
Can she experience life differently?
Yeah. And that was a big thing for me to be
Mm.
like, for some reason I had put weight gain and not fitting into the world standards as me not being able to be as successful as I can be, or do still experience life in this way, which is completely inaccurate because now that I am healed and at a larger size, oh my gosh, the experiences I've been able to have been amazing. I never would have had them pre-recovery.
Yeah, gosh. And it's interesting because so many people, like I experience this a lot, right? So many people will come to me and they really want to recover, but they're like, but I can't recover and I can't commit to this because I have the fear of weight gain. And they
Yeah.
always laugh because I'm like, I've of course heard that a million times. That's everyone's thing. That's what the coaching's there for, right? So in our 4 months together, do you feel like you got over, not only got over that fear, but radically had a shift perspective and a different bodily response to that whole process of getting yourself up to a weight that felt comfortable and healthy for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, with this, my body has gotten to a very healthy, fertile place. And if you had told me pre-recovery that I would have gained weight or whatever, I would have, got so nervous. Oh, I'm not going to be the biggest thing too is confidence. And now I have so much more confidence walking around, walking in a tank top because I feel feminine. Like I have boobs and I have a nice butt. So I think another thing too was the confidence piece we had kind of talked about. I thought that confidence was came from my looks and how I came off. But really it's in here and
It's the energy, the aura that you're putting out.
And we really dove into energy and visualizations, which was really helpful for me because I had never done that before. And just realizing like I, as a woman, have so much more power and energy than this. Let's say I feared a Pop Tart, right? Than this Pop Tart here. Like it gives zero. But as a woman and just me myself, I have so much more energy. I'm so much more capable
Yeah.
of things than this Pop Tart, right? I can walk my dog, I can love on my husband, I can do my job, and my Pop Tart what sits there on the table. Like
Yeah,
so
and
just
we're so afraid of it. We give
Mhm.
all of our power to it, and understanding how powerful we are helps us shift that fear.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I feel like even with you, like I don't feel like we ever even talked about weight gain necessarily, right? That's the whole thing. I'm like, we don't talk about food, we don't talk about weight gain, we don't talk about those things. Again, it's like nearly every session, right? I'd be like, all right, are you ready to dive in? And we'd have you close your eyes, we'd deep breathe, and then we'd figure out where did these narratives come from? Like, what was that first wounding narrative of you not feeling like your body was enough? And we're reprocessing all those things. That's it's the neural rewiring here.
Yeah.
But we would dive into just helping you understand how much of an empowered, like badass woman you are. And
Mhm.
naturally, you did the things that you needed to do
Yeah.
to get yourself to a better place. So within 2 months of working with each other, we had a very, very, very big celebration. Do you want to go ahead and tell everyone the big news here?
Yeah, yeah. So actually I was on a work trip and I obviously I knew it could come anytime because we've been working together, but I wasn't expecting it so quickly, I guess. Because I had believed I had caused so much damage to my body, I thought it would take multiple months to a year or
It
so.
doesn't when we do the energy stuff, as I tell
Yeah.
people. It's actually quite quick when we shift your energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at work, I'm in the bathroom, and I'm like, did I just like, because it's dark brown, did something else happen or is that my period? Um,
But like
and
disbelief.
oh, disbelief. Like I was
Yeah.
like, no way. Oh, that was like probably, and it was so special because that was like my last day of my work trip. So me and my husband had come with me. So we had like got to celebrate after work and just that was like such a special, like I will never ever forget that day. And it was such a like I was so proud of myself because I had worked hard to get to where I was, and not in like a physically masculine way, but I really had worked hard in my heart wise of really trying to like soften into my feminine energy. And you just feel amazing. You're like, I am feminine, I'm a woman, and I can have my period now. And so it just was the best feeling.
Oh, I know. I remember when you got that, I was like literally like, oh my gosh, you've brought me to tears many times in the past couple months because I'm like, it is so insane to see the progress that you just kind of went through. I mean, I'm getting pictures over here on a random Tuesday of her eating like burgers and fries with her husband. But and it's not just like that, it's the now you are hanging out with your husband. Now you are feeling like confident about your food choices and you know how to actually support your body and
Yeah.
you know the importance of listening to that intuition because it's not just about eating the cupcake, right? It's about the fact that like eating a cupcake doesn't it doesn't take like a million hours now of your thought processing. It doesn't steal your energy away. Now it can just be a fun afternoon where you go and you have a hamburger with your husband.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so that was the biggest thing because I did watch some of your videos prior to me like starting with you. And that was a big motivator for me because I was like, oh, is that even like I didn't even know that was possible. It's like, could I do that though? Could I just go and enjoy food and
Mm.
not think about it? But now, I don't even like, I do reflect occasionally, but like, I have to remind myself, like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal to me. Like, my husband will be like, Terry, you used to not be able to eat like a whole serving of steak. You'd eat like a few bites and call it, have your whole salad, or, you don't hesitate to get ice cream with me anymore. And now you almost take it for granted because you just go with the flow. But it's amazing for me to reflect and be like, wow, look how far I've come. Like it really isn't it's just part of life now, which is
Oh,
beautiful.
ooh, and in such a short time. Not to say that everyone's, experience has to be rapid and has to be so quick, but after years of being stuck in this and going from thing to thing and not being able to heal, to be able to then, like in a matter of just a couple of weeks, start feeling that like, wow, I have the ability to do this and I no longer get into these long spirals of anxiety. Or if you did, you would message me. And I remember you always being like, wait, that was amazing. I need to save that. Like you literally would always just be like, wait, that shifted me. Thank you so much. And I love, like, I just have to say, like, I've loved loving on you and being able to like provide that for you of that just like, girl, I see you spiraling and just like, we're not doing that. And
Mhm.
like to then see you shift and be like, that's right. We're not doing it. I'm like getting teary-eyed here because literally it's just like so beautiful to see that whole shift. And then I got super teary-eyed when you gave me the second best news that I've received throughout this whole time. So go ahead and tell us the best of the best of the best news um that we got the other day.
Yeah, so after my period too, and this is a big part of what we worked on together as well. Again, prior to you, I didn't even know this was a thing. I was really living in my masculine energy. I
Mm.
didn't, I was not living in any part of my femininity. So after my period, that kind of like set the tone for me. I was starting to soften more, um, just kind of take thoughts in as more of instead of a criticizing approach, just kind of as a question, and intuition, intriguing about that. I was listening to my body more. I was resting. Um, I was just approaching life with looking for the abundance. Like that week we had talked prior to leading up to this big surprise, we had talked about looking every day, what your life is filled with abundance with, which I think is very fun to think that at the end of this week, we were going on a trip and I was going to see our friends in Colorado. And I knew that, okay, I had talked to you and you're like, you are very fertile, just saying. And me and my husband had decided, after my first period that we've been wanting kids, but I didn't, again, I thought it would take forever. And so we've both felt at peace about it might take me forever.
Like, might as well try. Might as well just,
Might as
might as well
well,
not try.
might
Not try, not try. Is that it?
yes. We weren't like, okay, I'm ovulating, let's go. Like we were
Yeah.
just, I was leaning into my femininity. I was creating more intimate moments with my partner. When he got home, I was
That's what we talked about too, though, right? Like
yes.
initiating intimacy, connection, getting into your pleasure. That was a big part of the work too.
Yeah, and just really soaking up time in the present. And so we had felt like let's just not prevent because who knows how long it'll take. And we're fine either way with God's plan. And then I just took a pregnancy test. I had no symptoms, which is funny. I had no symptoms. Everyone's like, why
I
did
was
you?
thinking, like, when would we have? Okay, just go. But like, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like so nauseous. Nope. I was just like, I'm gonna go to Colorado. There's gonna be drinking involved. We're gonna go into hot springs. Both things you're not supposed to do pregnant. So I was like, let's just test to be safe because I was supposed to get my period that weekend. And so I tested and I got a very faint double line. And I was in like disbelief because I was like, maybe it's negative. Like,
Yeah. What is
no,
this? Yeah.
it almost seemed too easy and too good to be true. And then the next day I took the clear blue test and it said pregnant. And anyone questioning if they're pregnant or not, that just like that tells
Yeah.
you
To see the
they
words. Yeah.
see the words versus just like two lines. But that is probably one of like the best feelings in the world. And I'm so happy now that I was telling my husband this the other day, like, yes, our wedding was so special and I'll never take back from that day, but like if you had to choose like recover during wedding or pregnancy, like obviously both, but I am so thankful that I went through this process with you before I got pregnant. Because now I feel overjoyed and just kind of trusting in my body of it knows what to do and how to grow this baby. Had I not been recovered, things would be really different and hard.
Yeah, I remember you told me I literally was like, shut the front door. I was literally like, I've had so many pregnancy announcements lately that have just been like, I'm like shaking. We're just like, oh my gosh, like that's insane. It's insane. It happened so fast. Also, I think I was so excited, and I don't know if I've like shared this with you fully, but like I literally just think you're gonna be the best of the best of the best of the best mamas. And I just like, oh, I'm like so excited for you to go on that journey. And like I've witnessed my sister go through that journey multiple times now. I've witnessed my, other siblings, their partners go through that whole journey. And I'm just like so excited knowing everything that you just went through. This whole transformation that you had in your energy, in your mindset, in your like beliefs, everything. Now seeing you like step into this like matriarchy, this like mama era.
Yeah.
I like can't wait for the baby. Oh my gosh. I just like I'm so excited. And I just want to like tell you that I'm like so proud of you because you just like you were so open. And I think that was the big like the big game changer for you was that like you came to me being like, yeah, I'm scared, so scared. Do I fear weight gain? 1000%. Am I
Yeah.
like so scared of all this stuff? But you came also just so open. Where you're like, but I'm like trusting that like you can get me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
And then 4 months and you tell me you're pregnant. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think too that would be another one thing that I would recommend because I always felt like, okay, when I get comfortable with gaining weight, then I'll get help. No, that's always going to be, if you haven't gotten help,
Sense.
start when you're scared because that's when you need the help the most. And as long as you do have that, like, I'm done with this, I'm ready, just like putting all your trust in you because you do need that guidance from someone. you're ready even though you feel scared of gaining weight.
Totally. So, husband's response here. How did you tell him? I can't remember.
Yeah. So I was crazy and I tested at like 6 a.m. because I just like couldn't. Well, I tested the digital one at 6 a.m. because I was so, they say test in the morning, your HCG is more concentrated. So I was super excited. I woke up, I tested. My husband, when I took the faint lines, he was like in disbelief, like, no, maybe that line's just
Okay,
there.
so you showed him. You showed him that.
I showed him the faint line and he was like, maybe that line's just there. Like, I want to wait for a digital. He was like shocked because he didn't think it would be. We were both
Why
laughing
don't we
because,
just like start with the digital? I feel like
I
every woman does this. They're like, I took it, I saw the lines, and then I went digital. Why don't we just start with that?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question
Yeah.
because both of them were like 6 days before your period, like an early
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So I took it and I was just like, no freaking way. And it's like,
He's standing with you there when you're taking the digital or no?
no, he's in bed.
He's
He's
okay,
in
okay, 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 okay. So I'm hearing the story. Go.
because he's sound asleep. I'm like peeing. I saw that. I was like, no way. I have to tell him. I'm like trying to wait and like not wake him up. But then that was like 30 minutes went by. I was like, I have to tell him.
You waited even 30 minutes. I would have jumped on him and I would have been like, oh
Oh,
my gosh.
oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So I like ran over there, basically jumped on him, and I like showed him it, and he's like still trying to wake up. Like, what? But
Funny.
we were just oh my, it was such a beautiful moment because we were like crying because we were so like shocked but excited. But like, this was such God's plan because, and just of how everything has worked out. And, um, it was, we really thought that it would take, and everyone's fertility journey is different, but we just really thought it would take a while because I had no period like for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. So I thought minimum of 2 years, we'll probably try and we'll see. No, it was literally the second
Yeah.
fertile window that we said, all right, let's just not prevent. We got pregnant. And I think we were just like in shock, but it was such like especially because we're ending our 4 months, it was like such a beautiful end to like, not that it's ending our journey, but like such a beautiful start and end to a journey, like end of eating disorder world, but like start to motherhood and like
Mm.
really just nourishing my body and like focusing on how I can provide for my body and my baby and my family as a whole.
Oh, I want to speak to this for a second because I think it is really beautiful that it was the second to last session where you told
Yeah.
me like you were pregnant and we had decided, right? I told you I was like, I have a 4 month container. Like that's like the minimum. I'll work with people, longer before, and we're gonna go on your pregnancy journey here now, which is
Yes.
exciting. But like give me 4 months to work on this here.
Mhm.
And again, going to that, like that container being held, I just see it being so, so, so supportive and such a like, I don't know, it's almost like we tell ourselves, I have 4 months to do X, Y, and Z, whatever my goal is, and then it happens. It's kind of like when you're at school and you're like, okay, I have like a week to you get it done, right? Right when you need to get it done. When I got my period back, I remember it was August 19th. That was the day I like went all in. And I remember talking to my mom and I was like, okay, like I'm going to give myself to the end of the year to get my period back. Like if not, then sure, take me to I don't even know where, but like take me somewhere. But
Yeah.
like I'm going to do this and I'm going to get my period back. And I gave myself that container. It was about a 4 month container as well. Gave
Mhm.
myself that container 4 months here of getting my period back. December 31st. I'm at a New Year's Eve party and I go to the bathroom and I was like, oh my gosh, I got my period. But
Gosh.
again, it's that container. That's why
Yeah.
I think the like investing in yourself and like I do this too with the business stuff. I do this with relationship stuff, with like all my other different healings. I always find that coach when I'm like, I need to reach this goal and like give it to me 3 months, let's work on this.
Yeah.
Because then I actually then work on it instead of the open-ended thing where we don't end up doing anything.
Yes, yes, and just having that, like, accountability, like, every week, and then you were, like, available, like, when I would just wanna reach out, like, I think that was huge because it did set me up, like, scheduled date once a week, we had to talk through things, and,
Ah,
um, that was huge because had I tried it on my own, I wouldn't have scheduled that, it would've just been like, "Oh, I'm gonna try,"
and then you
but
wanna be pregnant right now.
no, no.
I'm gonna start bringing a poster to these fertility clinics and be like, if you have amenorrhea, fertility clinics can be amazing for people who
Yes.
like have other, there's so many, reasons why a couple can't have, kids, right? Or
Yeah.
have a hard time getting pregnant. And I love that they are there because there's so many beautiful babies that are brought into this world because of
Yep.
IVF. And if you don't have it because you've been restricting your food and over exercising, get your period back first. I was actually talking to a client who's in my program right now, the Get Your Flow On collective, and she was mentioning that her 7-year-old daughter, she did IVF for her because
Okay.
she didn't have her period back. And she was like, I really regret now, not regret having her kid and all that, but she was like, I regret not going through the recovery process because she struggled in her whole pregnancy. She's like, my body image was awful. I was restricting still, like my body wasn't healthy enough to have a kid. And it just showed in so many ways. She had an awful time um kind of, post pregnancy, there's obviously you've just gone through a big thing. Your body's now replenishing and restoring, and now breastfeeding. She was like, everything was just, she just depleted herself so fast, right? And so she
Yep.
was like, if I could go back, I would have told myself, like, just actually get your period back naturally so you can have a kid naturally so that you actually are in a like a good mental state. Because yeah, it's a demanding process, but now we feel so confident and like when your body needs whatever it needs, you're like, I feel so confident in actually giving it to me.
It's no question. That was a beautiful thing too, is like to be able to now carry my child and like when it tells me I'm hungry and it's a weird time of the day, like it's no question, absolutely. I'm gonna nourish my baby, nourish my body. When before it'd be like, oh, but it's a weird time of the day. Like, do I wait? Do I just go on a walk? Do I just drink water? Like, no, like those thoughts don't even go through my head, which is so beautiful now.
Oh, I'm so excited for you and your husband and I mean your whole family, right? And
Oh,
I'm honestly just again, I'm so amazed at you and like how you just like taken your life back into your hands. And we're gonna end this here because this is another big ED fear. I fear losing control. So Tara, do you feel like you have lost control, or do you feel like you're even more so empowered and in controlling, like confident and just like actually have the ability to determine your life now?
oh my gosh, I feel more grounded than ever. I would say, like, it's so funny because I totally empathize with that because I felt that too. I was scared of that, losing that control piece, but I was so not in control of my thoughts and but now I feel like I'm just so grounded and I know who I am and life is so much more calm and peaceful. It is wild to me. So the control aspect is like where I am in here, like I always have it versus
Like
like
now your heart's controlling.
yeah, like my body is, and I know my body's changed and it's gonna change more because I'm gonna carry a baby. And yeah, whenever those thoughts come, like, yeah, you're gonna gain X amount, you're gonna have a cute little pregnancy belly, and then postpartum's gonna hit. If those thoughts ever come, I'm like, yeah, but I've always found it in here. I've healed through not what I look like and not what my size, but through my energy and through who I am through this whole process. So any number on the scale, any change does not make me feel like I lose control because I have it now and it's solid.
Yeah, and I love that you use that word grounded because I think it is that. It's like you have more control in the sense of like now you actually understand how to stop certain well, I can't even speak. Now you understand how to stop certain like thought patterns. You also now have the ability to say yes to this, no to this, whatever, right? Like you have that control back, but it's also even like it's almost like you even gave up that desire to control and you just want to feel grounded and in flow with life more.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say control isn't even, I laughed at that
It's
because
like
I'm
you're not even trying to do that anymore, but you do have
like,
that power back, which is great, but it's a grounded, connected power in your heart. I'm just like, oh, I could have said that better, love. Like, yes.
yeah, control doesn't even feel like it's in my vocabulary because I always feel grounded in that like overwhelming sense of peace and joy now. So
It's almost that
there's,
like I got me type of energy,
yeah.
right? Of like, I don't need to control all of this because I got me and I got this and this is okay.
Mhm.
Mm, okay, so any piece of advice for the girls who are listening? I know a lot of the girls, they've listened to me like 4 or 5 years. A lot of the girls, they talk with me and then they like are like, ah, I don't know if I want to join your program or whatever. Or some of the girls are just sitting here being like, I like don't even know if I want to recover. Any advice to any of these ladies in these different kind of situations?
Oh my gosh. I always had put like made an excuse up, but it's now is always the right time. Like, don't put it off. Like, you're, you need the earliest, like now you need to recover because the longer you put it off, the longer you're putting off connection with your loved ones, connections with your partner, with your family, experiences you could be having. Um, you saying yes and committing to yourself is going to open up a whole door of a different, beautiful life than you ever thought you could live. So if you're ever like up in the air about it, it shouldn't even be a up in the air decision. I understand because I was that way, but yes, if you're questioning, now is the time. Don't wait.
And what about joining in, in one of my programs or one-on-one? What would you have to say to someone who's maybe hesitant about the investment? I get a lot of hesitancies with that or anything.
Yeah, I would say because I was trying to recover by myself and I could have not done it without you, like 100%. Even if it took me like, I was like, oh, it was 4 months. It was really quick because I had you. Like, no, in general, I don't think I would have been able to get my period back and get pregnant without that accountability piece. You need someone to lean on who has been through it. Because let me tell you, my husband I leaned on, my mom was a great support, but they hadn't been through it and they weren't trained. They didn't know what to say. And that can be relationship sucking from them as well if you're always leaning on them. So just having that support is, I think, 100% needed through whether it's your support group or that one-on-one.
Hmm. Beautiful, Tara. I love you so much and honestly so appreciative that you took the time to share with us. And congrats, Mama, on, so many things here, getting the period back and getting pregnant and honestly just like choosing you.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. I've told Jake this. I'm like, she's made the biggest difference in my life. So
Oh, thank
happy
you,
to
love.
just talk about it.
I love it. It's been my honor.
All right, girlies. It was a crazy journey watching Tara go through this. From not having a period for 10 years and being stuck just playing life small. Honestly, that's what it was. Playing life small. Thinking that the best thing that she had to offer this world was a body that looked a certain way or a diet that looked extremely clean. She was playing small for so many years, and to see her in just a matter of months, which is really just a matter of weeks, become this empowered, beautiful, confident, grounded human being, I'm like absolutely 1000% blown away. See, the thing is, this actually isn't an abnormality in my world. When I work with girls, we go about this whole recovery process in a different way, meaning We are here to not just get you comfortable with eating a cupcake. Rather, we are here to help you truly get reconnected with who you are and to find your power again so that you can live a life of impact and you can live a life that you truly feel at peace with. That's what we are all about here at Flow with Chloe. And my program, Get Your Flow On, is designed through my 6-step proven method to get your period back, help you heal your relationship to food, become a well nourished girly, to help you overcome some of your worst body image woes, and most importantly, to help you become a powerful, manifesting, creative, juicy, fun, flirty, monthly menstruating woman again. The program is comprised of 2 different parts. I have my course curriculum, which dives into the exact 6 steps that you need to take in order to heal your relationship to food and tap back into your femininity. And then we have our recovery collective community, which is comprised of women from around the world who want a safe container, a safe space for them to work on healing their biggest food and body concerns. I go live 2 times a week in my group. That's about 100 group coaching calls per year in the collective, and you do get lifetime access to that. Um, and so it is a lot of momentum. It is a lot of energy. It is a lot of support, reassurance, guidance, and love so that you can get to where you want to go. The program is an invitation only based program. I like to make sure every single person is a great fit for this type of program. So if you have interest in doing recovery with a little bit more soul, a little bit more manifestation, a little bit more like positive energy, then go ahead and click the link below to schedule a call with me or a member on my team. And we're going to help you make an empowered decision as to whether this is the program for you. Thank you so much for listening, girlies, and I will see you in my next one.